Hello, everybody. This is Jimmy Hitchcock on a Jimmy Hitchcock podcast called Post, Poast, TRT, the real truth. Tell the real truth. Stop those lies. I see a lot of lies on those posts out there. Anyway, wanted to give a little synopsis of my business and the plan that I presented before you. Okay. The plan is has a lot more facets to it. I just gave the brief outline and overview in the first phase of the plan, which was forming cooperatives of business structures that already exist. We'll just be taking over those type of business structures and turning them into co-ops. All right. And I think it's a pretty good plan if you kind of think it through a little bit. It'll be money that's like it'll be revenues on a daily basis in the millions if we get it there. And there'll be plenty of money to send through a bank, which could be a bank that we support or start. Okay. So in my vision, I'm visualizing that the post plan will spawn these cooperative business structures, and those cooperative business structures would then link up with a bank, say like Greenwood, right? And Greenwood is a bank that's Black owned and has 3 Black male owners. And I would like to run all the transactions through that bank or any bank of that sort that's Black owned. All right. So that is really kind of a portion of my plan that will actually send money through the community and through the banking community. And then this is another thought that I've had is that when we do send that money through those banks, that we would put up banks in the community. Some will just be virtual tellers because that's the cheapest route to go. So you have a virtual teller in the community, and then that'll cut down on any thoughts or types of bad situations. So we would have an incredible virtual teller setup right there in the community where people can go and interact with the teller, etc. So these are the thoughts that I've had. Some of the thoughts, I'm just sharing you some of the ideas and thoughts that's in my plan. Okay. Not only that, but there's, a plan to build some schools, and we would start a school in the Triad area that is a school that everybody would probably agree with. That would be a good structured type of school. And we'd come in and we'd actually get the curriculum or teach the curriculum that African Americans will see as beneficial toward their children. Okay. So again, there's a lot to the plan that I presented, but I didn't present all the plan. And the reason why I didn't present all of the plan is because, of course, I didn't want to do it in a podcast setting. I'd like to do it on a meeting, in a structured meeting type setting where we can go through all of the plan and go through how to implement the plan along the way. Right. So I know people like, well, what makes you think that you should listen? Nobody's come forth with a plan. That's the first thing. Nobody's come forth with a plan. Or maybe you just don't think that there needs to be a plan. Okay. Maybe you think that going through the route that we've gone through over these years is the best route to go, which is trying to get the government system to work for you, trying to get other people's businesses to promote you and get you a good, lifestyle, or get you a good retirement and things like that. A lot of people have bought into the system over the last 56 or so years. So a lot of people have bought into the system and have become a part of this system and a part of the middle class, a lot of you become a part of the middle class, that you're comfortable, right? And that you don't see anything wrong with the system per se. But every time something happens where like another person becomes president, a Republican of some sort, or Donald Trump over the last few years, there's a serious cry for change. Like everybody becomes way blacker than they've been before. You know, you just all of a sudden the blackness of you comes out in the Donald Trump era. We have people, you know, we about it, and the DEI is the most important thing. You know, I'm not sure why we get so black during the Republican when the Republicans are in office, we become super black. But when Biden is in office, we are so integrated, and we're so about the government, and we're so about everything that's going on. It's a kumbaya. But those policies of the Democrats, they have the most deleterious effects. But we don't think that they do. It's just some type of magic voodoo that they have over you that makes you think that something is actually happening when the Democrats are in office. It's because they have a few black faces that you think that something is happening that's really good. But then it turns out most of the time that is not, because those policies end up helping other people, other communities than yours. I'm going to stop preaching, but I just wanted to get on here and say a few things about this. I'm not going to have a long podcast today. All right. It's not going to be very eloquent, and it's not going to be a situation where you say, okay, this is super inspiring, because nothing should be inspiring as far as speech is concerned anymore. The only thing that should inspire you is action to get something done. That's it. There should be very little talk, and the plan of action should come forth. If you don't like my plan, and obviously I'll see if you don't like my plan, because nobody's actually looking at the podcast, or nobody's actually, contacting me through Messenger or through the comments. So if you don't feel like it's a decent plan, I'll get the message, But it's something that needs to be talked about, and something that needs to be put out there that somebody needs to do. Somebody needs to put forth a plan. I have one. I think that it's a pretty decent plan. And because the reason why I think it's a pretty decent plan is because it has economic structure. If you come with a plan and it has no economic effects, it has no economic structure, or nothing financially viable for the community, it's not a plan. It's a zero on the plan side. If you're talking about protesting and marching and things like that, that's fine. But that has to be separate from a plan of action for the community. A plan of action, yes, can become that you march and you stomp and have your voices heard. It's important in a democracy that you do. But what we're up against is ourselves. We're not up against anybody else. We are up against ourselves, right? And we have some models out there about how you go about getting the things that you want. And how you go about the things that you want has been shown to you over and over and over and over again. And that's making sure you put money in the pockets of the politician. As soon as Black people start putting money in the pockets of politicians, that's when money in politics will start being regulated. Because everybody else is buying them off. All of our politicians are for sale. Look at what happened with Trump and the Gaza situation. He got $100 million from AIPAC. And now they're going to wipe Gaza clean and build I don't know what they're gonna build over there, like a resort. I don't know what's gonna go on over there, but he's just wiping Gaza and trying to take all the people out of Gaza and turn it into some type of beautiful luxury resort area. I don't know, but it's kind of it's not funny because there's going to be a lot of people displaced and a lot of people are going to lose their homes and people are not even going to be able to return. And that's the scary and ugly part about it. But the funny kind of I chuckle a little bit at this, but it's really not funny. But this guy Trump wants to, anything that has a problem in it, a problem with it, and it involves land, he's just going to develop it. He's just going to develop it. Let's develop it. Let's go in there and clean it all up and put some skyscrapers on it and put some casinos or some golf courses on it. You know, that's his answer to everything. And I can see why he comes to those type of solutions because he's a developer, right? So he's trying to make people come to the table by putting in this crazy idea that he's going to wipe Gaza clean of the people and then come in there and they're going to own it for a while. And then he's going to, all of this stuff doesn't make any common sense, but that common sense thing goes out the window with Trump because that almost is going to make people negotiate. And then on the backside of it, it might work. Which the whole thing is to get people to the negotiation table and try to negotiate the situation. That's what he's trying to do. So, but anyway, AIPAC gave him $100 million. And that's Israel. And Israel gets what they want. So we have to form an organization that's very similar to that. That's just the bottom line. If we want anything out of this government, that's what we're going to have to do. We can't just back them and just stump for them and give a couple of $5 and $10. We can't do that. We're going to form an organization that can give to these candidates $50 to $100 million. And I know it sounds crazy, but that's what we have to do. But on the backside, we're going to get it back. If we don't, then they don't get it anymore. And people will want to get that $100 million in their campaign. That's just the way the system works. If we decide that that's what we want to do, then that's what we should do. Because that's the only way that we're going to get anything done in the community. Okay, back to my plan. So building schools, building out more or reviewing more of these businesses that are for profit, right? And then getting into industry. There's a few industries that in certain places around the world that's being taken advantage of. If we could step in and become a middleman and a trader into some of those markets, we could make billions upon billions of dollars. And I will talk about those things once we form a group so you can understand what I'm talking about. There are so many markets out there that we can just put a little money into and start to become traders in those markets, and we could make it better for the people in those situations. And I'm not expounding on it because I don't want to give it away. The people that's in those situations and the situation that we're in as far as an organization. But the African American community has incredible power. All we have to do is utilize the power. And right now, just like I said it on a little, quick thing that I sent out. It's time right now while everybody is on the run and people are scrambling and Trump is breaking down this, he's calling it draining the swamp, right? That's what he said he was going to do. And he came back in the second term, you know, oh, 4 years after he was president, he came back 4 years later after Biden, and he is fulfilling his promise to the people that he made, which was draining the swamp. And I'm not mad. And people like, oh, you stumping for Trump. I'm just not mad at anything that he's doing, because a lot of the institutions that he's breaking down are institutions that held us back as a community, that put policies on us that was detrimental to the community, right? And that certain three-letter organizations spied on our community. Some of these organizations were responsible for taking down some of our leaders. So I'm confused as to why you stumping for the same government as Black people. I'm just confused. So when I talk about this stuff on Facebook, I'm just talking about this. I'm confused. Why are you stumping for government and making it such that Trump is doing this incredibly bad thing, and all he's doing is coming in and trying to revamp a government that's been 98% mostly theirs. And when I say theirs, you know what I mean. It's white people's. This is white people's government. This government has not been for you, African American. It hasn't. So why are you mad that he's doing what he's doing? He's breaking down the system that held you back, or held your community back for several decades. I'm talking to people in the community about building an organization, and they're saying things like, remember Wilmington, and remember the massacre over here, and because we've been traumatized by it. But some of those institutions that got taken down was taken down by some of the government factions, some of the government organizations. So we have to move past some things. This is the time. This is the time right now to take it to the community. People come back to the community. Let's try to build an organization. I have a plan. My plan's called POST, Plan of Action. Stop talking. If you could understand, or if you come together, we can create a better plan. If you don't like my plan, we can create a better plan. But I think that my plan is probably one of the best, is because we can implement the plan right away, and we can make sure that people start feeling the effects of that plan right away, because the money is going to come. It's going to take about 10 to 12 months to get the cooperative up and running completely, right? Given the scale of the people that we'll have, we'll be able to move a little bit faster than most other businesses, but we will be able to move quickly if we come together, and we will be able to push out some of these business quicker than a normal organization, because we're talking about bringing thousands of people together. And when we're talking about bringing thousands of people together, you're talking about building a movement. And if you're talking about building a movement to rival the MAGA movement, you're talking about something that is going to take a great energy and a great push to do. Right? So that's what I'm talking about. Something that's going to be able to push not against the MAGA movement. We don't want to push against them, because they want to see our neighborhoods clean. They want to see us do some of the things to get these deaths down in our community. They don't understand that we've been attacked by the government, but they're going to find out soon, because Trump is uncovering pretty much everything. Right? So, and we're going to be telling them. I'm just a little bit frustrated, because we continue to whine about every little thing that Trump has done. These are the most impactful to everybody to everybody on Facebook that's not MAGA, these are the most crazy, most impactful executive orders in history of America. All we're doing is whining about executive orders. He ain't even made any policies yet. But we're so caught up on this. Now, yes, he's doing some things with Holman, and Holman is going after the illegals and things like that. Yes, I agree with that. But Obama did it worse than him. All he's trying to do is take that deporter in chief title off Obama's head, because Obama was the deporter in chief. He deported more immigrants than anybody in the history of America, in the history of presidents. So if Obama did that, then okay, I mean, why? And he used the same guy, Holman. Holman is the same guy that Obama used to deport 3 million immigrants. So let's stop this whining and crying and come together, man. Come together. This is like, I'm gonna say this last thing and I'm gonna end this podcast. This is like a blessing in disguise. Why is it a blessing in disguise? This is like the first time in the history of America where we can point and say to this is white establishment, because it's mostly run by the government, is mostly run by white folks. This is our time to say shame on you for spending all of that money and having all that money go all these places that they shouldn't be going. This is a time to be critical of the government and tell them, what are you doing? That's fraudulent. This is like the best time. This is supposed to be a time where we point that out. We're letting them get a pass because we hate Trump so much that we are letting these people get a pass. No, I want to be able to point it out and say, you see what you did? Like I want to be able to point out every situation. I don't want these people to get a pass. Right? So come to your senses. African Americans, please snap out of it. Snap out of it. This is supposed to be one of the best times in African American history, like where we get to call it out and say, shame on you. Because they do it to us all the time. Right? So this is the time that we're supposed to point it out and say, why'd you spend $23 billion on this nothing? That's what we're supposed to be doing. But you're also caught up in the whole Trump thing that you're not recognizing what's at hand. I'm confused. Well, anyway, I'm gonna end it on something positive. The organization is a membership, like Sam's Club, right? So within that organization, we raise money and we do things with the money. That's pretty much it. But what we want to do is do things that are economically viable for the community. Then when that money starts to come in and we start to rake in the money from the revenue and the profits that come our way, we decide what to do next with the money. It's just a basic plan. But I have plans along the way to build, all right, to do community things, build community structures, build out of a kind of force in the community that deals with children, mentor force, like the mentors throughout the community. We build a organization that relies on its community service, right? Service is the key to our organization, the organization that we build. If you're not building a community, a service to the community organization along with the economically viable organization, you don't have an organization. I mean, you can do things outside of it, but I'm talking about having an effect on the Black community. I'm not talking about just like women's groups, things like that. I'm talking about a central organization that deals with African American situation and African American ills, and by default, we will be doing things for the lower class, all of the lower class, every American, right? Because of what we do that's economically viable. We'll be provide jobs, things of that nature, right? Because we want everybody working the organization. We don't want anybody to be left out. I hope this wasn't too all over the place, but you just have to give something a chance. And if you're not going to give my organization the chance, then form another one. Come with a plan. We got so many brilliant people out here just complaining on the internet and talking about what's happening and what's about to happen and fearing for things that's going to happen. But what are you doing about it? What are you going to do? Are you going to continue to do this for 4 years? Wring your hands for 4 years? One thing that I used to like to hear when I used to watch Game of Thrones is one thing that dude said. One of the people, I don't even know who this was, but they said this. They said chaos is a ladder. Chaos is a ladder, right? And that means when it's chaos around, that's an opportunity for you to rise. And we should have that attitude that chaos is a ladder. All right. Post